I'm Elizabeth Vargas, and this is 2020 in Touch. Here's what we're working on for this week's program.
Rachel and Tiffanie graduated in May 2003, but stayed close with their high school friends. On July 18th, the two girls were doing what teens typically do, hanging out at Tiffany's house unsupervised, watching TV with Tiffany's boyfriend, Marcus Priscilla, and his cousin, Adelbert Sanchez. Then they heard a knock at the door.
Once they opened up the door, they were probably attacked within minutes and were met with absolute fury.
What had been a lazy summer afternoon became the scene of a suburban massacre.
The kids themselves, drenched in blood. There's blood spatter that's on the walls. There's bullet holes from rounds that have gone into the victims and outside of them. We had 4 recently graduated high school kids that were slaughtered. I can't even say just murdered, but literally slaughtered.
Sgt Brian Harris says Houston police were as perplexed as they were horrified.
This was not a group of kids that would be considered thugs or gangsters by any means.
It was an earthquake to our family. It was devastating.
People were angry and afraid. Nobody knew who did this. It was, young kids in the middle of the day in a nice neighborhood.
When you think of Rachel, what comes to mind?
Just my little girl.
It wasn't just the families who were in mourning.
All people, it's always the best ones.
The entire community struggled to make sense of the puzzling and ghastly murders.
Tiffanie was the sweetest girl you'd ever meet in your life, She never had a bad bone in her body.
And Kristine Lilla's parents say she took the news especially hard. This photo of Kristine had been found in Rachel's wallet.
She was very upset. She cried most of the night.
Did she stay home?
She slept in our bed for 3 nights. She was afraid.
As the families and the community grieved, police were at a loss. Despite the vast amounts of evidence at the crime scene, there were no DNA matches, no useful fingerprints, and no forensics that could quickly identify who killed the teens.
On a case this massive, you go back to the basics and you look at your victims and you start seeing what their relationships are.
The investigation would take time, lots of time. But eventually, a compelling image of the killers would emerge. It would drive Rachel's family to launch their own crusade for justice and lead them to some shocking revelations.
People do some evil things, unfortunately.
There was no understanding that.
You can see that dramatic story unfold Friday on 2020 at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. I'm Elizabeth Vargas. For all of us at 2020, we're in touch, so you be in touch.